Okay. So, all right. So this class we are talking about, or we're going to go through the architectural set. So hopefully after this class, you'll want to review some of the other ones. So just really quickly, because I know we always get a set of construction documents, and you get the specifications too. So if you're wondering when you're looking at one and you know you have the other, it's really important to look at the specifications too, because the specifications are the written words that go with these pictures. So if you are doing the drywall, for instance, well, yeah, you're going to look at the plans to get your measurements and do all of that. But the specifications are going to tell you how to place the drywall, how to tape it, how to finish it, level one, level two, level three. Okay, so make sure too, always, that's where a lot of contractors make the biggest mistake is that, yeah, we look at the plans because, yeah, we need those to make the measurements and to do it accurately and to know what we're doing. But more importantly and most importantly is to make sure you look at the specifications too. All right, so this class is really an overview of the architectural set, each of the sheets, and I try to go over each sheet, like who needs the sheet, who needs to look at it, who's going to be looking at that sheet in particular. And so I try not to make it go on long, but if you have questions, definitely ask me. And if you need me to stop and slow down, make sure you tell me that too. So this is a set of Popeye's plans, the Louisiana kitchen. So this is a kitchen which, depending on your trade, is very complicated or very easy. So for framing, drywall, pretty simple, but for electrical, HVAC, those trades, plumbing, even more difficult because of the equipment within the building. So this set is a good set for the architectural set because it's pretty. It has pretty good detail. Let me find my mouse. There we go. And so we're looking at the cover sheet. And so the cover sheet is going to tell you everything about the project. So if you're in project management, you're going to look at the cover sheet and you'll be able to immediately tell if it's from the ground up, if it's a renovation, and really, it's from the ground up if there's a structural set. So if there's a structural set, it's like, okay, I know I need, people that can handle underground utilities, really good in concrete, that kind of stuff. So, the cover sheet gives you the list. The sheet index is going to tell you all the sheets comprised within the set. This sheet also gives you what's called the responsibility chart. And I know you've seen it because this is something you do for a living. So I'm not going to talk to you like you're a kid. But again, stop me if there's something you need me to, clarify. So responsibility chart is very important too, because it tells you things that are going to be supplied and installed. So whether the owner is going to supply and install it, or the owner is going to supply it and let the GC sub install it. So this is very important too, especially for electrical and some of the finishes, some of the internal finishes like the tables and stuff like that. A lot of times, because it's a big chain, the owner supplies all of that stuff, brings it to the site, and then they want the GC subs to install it. Maybe even the lighting fixtures for the electrical. So they need to make sure they look at this, and it goes through pretty much every item, and every set is going to have it. It all depends on where they have it, where they have it within the set. And so responsibility chart tells you most things, or things that they think are important. That's within the set, who's going to install it, and who's going to supply it. Okay, so this set gives us the sheet index is the cover sheet. That's what we're looking at. And then bidding requirements for this set. And again, when you look at a set of construction documents, each one is produced by an individual, an architect, the electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, depending on what the project is. And so everybody's going to arrange it in different ways. And so I try to explain it to no matter what the sets, these are the things that you should find in it. Now, where they put it, it's up to the architect. He's either creative or he's done another thing is that the owners have either spent a lot of money on the sets or tried to spend no money. Okay, when they try to spend no money on the sets, you find mistakes, you find missing marks, you find a lot of inconsistencies too. So never ever think because it's a set that's been approved by the city there's no mistakes, because you're always going to find mistakes. And the thing about it, when you're doing estimating, if you find the mistake, note the mistake. If you note that there's some things that are missing, note what's missing, put an allowance for it, meaning give it an amount of money that if it was there, this is how much it would cost, or just exclude it altogether. Because it's really not your responsibility to determine if the architect, whoever put these sets of plans together, knows what they're doing. But you as a trades professional, you know what you're doing and you know what should be there. So if there are things that are not there, make the GC aware of it, and they probably don't know, because maybe sometimes they're really relying on the subs to review everything, give them estimates, and, request information, right? Request RFIs. That's all about look at our set and see if there are any mistakes we need to answer or get clear. That's really what an RFI is. Okay, so this set has, so we're only looking at the architectural set. So architectural set gives us, and this has a little electrical, mechanical, and plumbing, and we'll go through that pretty quick. So the architectural set is everything that goes in and on the building once the building's been constructed. So it's all of the finishes, right? All of even the roof finishes. So this set has a MEP site plan, just kind of giving you an idea of what the site looks like, but not for actual, in terms of I need to know where the transformer is, maybe. So the MEP site plan is going to give you something like that to show you basic stuff, but you never use it in this set for the actual estimate. So we have all of the A plans. So of course the floor plan, that's all of the new walls coming up from the floor. Okay, so try to think about it that way. And then the floor finishes, all the finishes, the reflective ceiling plan. It looks like the electrical set plan. It looks like the HVAC plan. It looks like all of that, but it's everything that's in the ceiling for reference. Okay, so the reflective ceiling plan really is just for the person that is installing ceiling finishes. But we have to show the HVAC supply grills. We have to show where the lights are for reference for the finishes. So in cases where they're using, ACT, well, they know, I need this many fewer tiles because why? Supply grills are going in there or whatever. So just know that the reflective ceiling plan, on the cheap, they'll try to make it also the lighting plan, but it should not be, because the lighting plan is supposed to show you switches and all that. And if you have all that mixed up with the drywall, the ACT, the even ceiling soffits, all the walls coming down from the ceiling, which are soffits, are shown on the reflective ceiling plan. And so again, when some people try to get away on the cheap, they'll put the lights and everything on the reflective ceiling plan. Or if it's a really small project, like you're only doing like a bathroom, or for homeowners, sometimes they'll they will put all the electrical and everything on the reflective ceiling plan. So just note that. But on a really good set of commercial plans, the reflective ceiling plan is only to show you reference for ceiling finishes. All right, so, and then the kitchen elevation. So, elevations, section view, plan view, elevation view, section view, detail view. Those are 4 things you need to really become an expert in, and know when someone says that, you can draw a picture or you can say in words what it means. Because yes, you'll have elevations, you'll have the plans, you'll have details, and each of these things you'll have sections. And each of these things are given to you to give you a deeper and deeper view of the plan. And so let me just go over that quickly, because that's enough of the cover sheet, because we only have an hour and a half. So the cover sheet tells you all about the project. It's going to give you the sheet index, all the sheets comprised within the set. And then this one has, of course, all of the A plans, all of everything architectural. This has some structural notes because this is from the ground up. So this is actually a full set, but we're only going over the A plans. And then it has the mechanical, which is the HVAC plan, plumbing, which is, of course, the plumbing plan, and the electrical. So just know when we're talking about the specifications and we talk about mechanical, Mechanical for the specifications, really, that is both the HVAC plan and the plumbing plan. Those are the mechanical trades. So don't be confused. Like I get estimates where they say they want division 15 and 16. Well, 16 is electrical. 15 is mechanical, which really means the HVAC and the plumbing. So, make sure you have a clear understanding when someone says the mechanical. Are we talking about HVAC and plumbing or just, okay, so just know that just technically it's all of that. All right, so let's talk about the views. Okay, so you've seen a cover sheet. We need to get to the nitty gritty. The sheets gives you some symbols, right? Tags, and we'll go over each one on the actual plan. And then a legal requirement on every cover sheet. Legal requirement, the owner's information, the architect's information, and all of the engineers that were, they used to put together this set. So that's a legal requirement. And also, that if the plans are ready, have been approved for construction, they're going to have a permit date. And some states put not for construction bold across each one, like in a lighter gray, because some some people try to get away with putting them together without. The city really needs to approve every set. And so this tells me that there were probably no addendums, right? Because it's the permit date, April 16th. Now, if there were addendums in terms of your estimate, you always make sure on our estimates we'll say based on plans and specifications dated. You always want to use the latest addendum date, not the original set, because of course something may have changed. And in terms of general contractors, they're looking to see if you've looked at the latest information, whether it pertains to your trade or not. So it may not even pertain to your trade, but you always want to make sure that you say based on plans and specifications dated, and that's going to be the addendum date. All right, so let's talk about the views, and we'll come back to the construction schedule and bidding requirements. That's the second page, but let's go over the views. Now, the first of the views are a plan view. Everybody kind of uses that incorrectly. Send me the plans, right? Well, it's really construction documents, because plan is a particular way you're looking at the sheet. It's the most basic of the views. It's a view from above. And so every set has a plan view. Okay. And so this is the site plan, and it's the view from above. From the MEP site plan, we see the building envelope, tells us the square footage of the building, and then everything to be built on the site. Okay. So very quickly, these lines represent, those are contour lines that look like mountains, represents the height and depths of the dirt when they do the survey. And so, of course, this is going to be reflected on a site plan or in the civil set, right? The underground utilities, the grading, all that stuff is going to be reflected. Basins that you have to dig, all on the civil set. So that's why I say this is an MEP site plan, because it's throwing everything that would be on the site on one sheet, but you really can't use this to determine any measurements. Okay, so I always like to go over contour lines because they are represented in different ways. And basically they represent when we do the survey, they find, and there's a really technical way to do the cut and fill numbers, but you always want to have a good set of plans so you don't have to do that. So how they represent this here is that the lighter shade is what, let me go back. This is a different set. How they represent what the existing grade is, and let me find it. The existing grade, and this has been downloaded so many times, so we won't go by color. The existing grade will be in parentheses. So that's the grade that they find, where the grade that they want will be in a square. And so make sure that when you're looking at it, they're going to represent it in some way this way. The grade that's existing and the grade that they want. Okay, so, and all underground utilities are represented by broken lines, even underground conduit for electrical. So this is the underground telephone, underground gas. So you know it's underground. And of course, it's a site plan. It has to be underground. But the electrical doesn't have to be underground. It can be overhead. And it will say overhead, so it's going from the pole to the building overhead. But just note that all underground utilities are represented by broken lines. Okay, so that's the MEP site plan. And again, the plan view, the most basic of the views. So when I say most basic, if you look at this and you're trying to maybe do the exterior wall framing, you can measure how many linear feet, right? But you don't know the thickness of the wall. You don't know if there's drywall there or tile or whatever. And so it's a basic view to help you do some things. So now let's actually go to the floor plan. All right, so now we're in the building. Here's the floor plan. So the floor plan tells us all the new walls that are coming up from the floor. So this is a highly dimensioned set of plans. So you'll see now that they have just a regular set of plans, and they'll have one dimension set. And that just means that they give you a lot of measurements already on the plan. So if you don't have a good digitized software to do your measurements, you'll be able to determine pretty good accuracy, and with the calculator, doing your math, how many linear feet things are. And so how you read that is from hash mark to hash mark, this little vertical line going through the horizontal line. And so from hash mark to hash mark, the number in between is the actual length. So that tells me the length from here to here is 4 feet 7 inches. And so we remember from grammar school or whatever, that if we have two parallel lines and we know the distance of one, that we can assume that's the length of the other. And so one of the parallel lines that will never cross, is this length that they do give you. And then the other one is the wall. And so if this is 4 feet 7 inches, I can assume that that is as well. And so now I can start measuring my exterior wall. And then we can go from here. They give us from this hash mark to hopefully the other one ends at the end of the building. And then whatever, well, no, it ends here. And so that's 30 feet 10 inches. So dimension sets of plans, that's the whole purpose. Okay, so on our floor plan, it gives us a lot of information. Floor plan tells us our walls, the type of walls, shows us where our doors are, if they're double doors, shows us walls and doors and windows. That's the purpose of the floor plan. And so again, the plan view, the most basic of the views, the view from above, it's all the new all the new wall construction basically coming up from the floor. And so if I'm the framer, I definitely need the sheet, but I'm going to look for the types of walls that I'm going to build. And so I know if I see X or by, I know that that is a wood framed wall, right? Or if it was metal, it'd be 3 5/8, 7 and I always get them. 3 5/8. We got it down here, or which is equivalent to a 2x4. And then a 5 7/8, which is equivalent to basically a 6-inch stud. And so we know that the B walls are 2x6 framing at the 24s on center, or off center, some people say. But basically you put one in the center, and on each side every 24 inches or every 2 feet. And so if I'm doing a framing takeoff, right, if I know how many linear feet of each of these walls that I have, I can change that linear feet by multiplying by 12, change it into inches, and then I can divide by the placement. That tells me how many studs I need, plus or minus 10%, right? You always want to do that. You can do that for anything. So you take your floor plan, you know how many linear feet, or even by section. And that's our second view, is the section view. And so from the floor plan, we can measure how many linear feet of B wall, that's the wall tag, telling us this wall is B. All of our exterior walls B. If we go around it, we can tell. Okay. This tells us this is a window tag. This tells us that this window, this represents a window, kind of looks like a frame in glass. That tells me that's window A, right? Why they have this here, this is a finish, right? A furnishing, this is a TV. AP12, if you look on the finishes or furnishings, that's a TV. That's really not even necessary, because you know why? It should be on the electrical set, because it's going to show me where the outlet is, but that's what that is. So that's not even part of the construction. So, a little annoying things like that pop up from time to time on your floor plan. And so what's the framer need? how many linear feet of wall needs to know the doors, because they're going to also install the door frames. And so what's this represent? This is these wing looking things, right? That's the door, right? That's a double door. And so everything is telling us the key tags. This is telling the contractor what to do. So you have the wall tags, window tags, and then the keynotes. Keynotes are going to tell us what to do. And on the same page, you always have what we have to do. So it's either called floor notes, plan notes, keynotes, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I normally do, start on one end, go through each thing, make sure I note it or measure it or whatever. And sometimes you have that same number, 5, more than once. So just because it's in a list altogether, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you could have a lot of 5s, right? These are basically corner guards. So yeah, you're going to have one on every corner wall that's open. Okay, so floor plan for the framer gives us how the linear feet. So plan view, again, most basic of the views. But if I'm the framer, I need to know the height of the wall, right? And so that's where we go to the second of the views. We go to the section view. Okay, so when you're looking at the section view, and that was kind of the hardest thing if you really want to be a good framer, it's like I got to understand what I'm looking at, and that was always difficult. And so what I always try to explain it like you're like 5 years old. So section view basically does this. I look at his little hat, his leg, and his foot. His leg, I can pretend it's a knife. And so what his leg's going to do is cut that wall at that section, open it up. And if I go to image or picture 1 on page A426. So whenever you see this, that's what that always means. That means image or picture. I'm going to look at that image or picture on this page. And in this case, this is a section view marker. It's going to tell me the interior construction of wall B at window A. And so I need that as the framer, right? Because if it's a window, it has a certain amount of wall under the window, and it has a certain length of wall above the window. So the only way for me to see that is to analyze that for my takeoff and for everything is to look at this section view. And if you notice everywhere, if it's a good set of plans, it's going to give you a section view at areas where the wall could be different. Okay, so where the wall could be different is at the door, right? Because we have this however many linear feet times the height above the door. Yeah, we're going to frame that, but we're not going to frame the whole door. So yeah, they're going to give you section views at places that they think are most important for you to determine that type of construction. So we have it at windows, we have it at the door. Here we have it at this is a little, that looks like a different type of wall. So yeah, we have it here at the exterior of the bathroom. Now, what is this? This is called that's the detail takeoff. So we're going to look at the section view in a minute, but you always want to, if you have a detailed takeoff, you kind of want to just ignore everything in there except things that are obvious. I say that to say this is the floor plan, and the floor plan is strictly for me to measure how many linear feet of wall, that new wall. Well, it gives me within the takeoff, it gives me, this is wall A. So I can still use this to measure all my walls, but why is it calling out? Why is it telling me to look at the bathroom? Well, there are certain things here that are not marked, right? What's in the bathroom? All of these little things, no, that's the door. This, the toilet paper holder, not the sink, right? Because the sinks and all of that, excuse me, the sinks and all that, that's going to be on the plumbing plan. But what they're doing, this is a call out, and it's basically saying if you want more detail about the bathroom and what this always applies, you look at image number 1 at page A125. Okay, but right now we're into section views. So the section view marker basically breaks up all of the walls where the architect thinks it's important for you to see, okay, the wall's built differently here, then it's built here, then it's built here. And what do? Well, you have to measure, and what I do is measure the lengths of the sections, right? Because I need to know, for instance, at the windows, I don't want to buy all 12-foot studs because I know at a window, I don't need a 12-foot stud. And so that's why they give you the section views. I can break up this wall and say, okay, wall at window. Because I'm thinking, they're not doing, this isn't a custom Popeyes. This is just a Popeye. So the distance or the length of the wall from the ground to under that window is probably the same at wall B, which is longer, right, than wall A. So it's probably the same length of wall. So I can say section whatever, because it may give it different section views, but basically wall at window, wall at door, that's this section view. And then walls that are probably the same, I can just measure them all the same. But again, the section view for the architect is their way of talking to the framer and saying, hey, look, the wall at the window is built differently than the wall at the door. It's built differently than the wall at the bathroom. It's built differently than the wall at the drive-through window, if there's one there, I don't know, and here. Okay, so let's go to section views. Okay, so remember, they're marked. So we're going to go to section view, image number 3 at page A426. I got to get closer. 426. Next one, image number 3. All right, so what is our section view? It is the second of the views. It's a more detailed view. And now for our framer, even for our roofer, for our insulation person, we know where the insulation goes up to the top of the roof joist, but not at the parapet wall. Now I can use, if I measured 60 feet of window, a wall at the window, then what is that, image number 3? That's this one. 60 feet of wall at the window. If I measured that, then what do I have? 60 feet times 2 feet 10 inches, square feet, that. 60 feet times 2, so 120 feet of top plate, 60 feet of bottom plate. And if I have 60 feet, see, this is a good one. This is a detail view. So what we're looking at is a section view that we were led to from the plan view. And at the section view, what do we have? We have another view. It's a detail, and that's called a call out. It's saying, go here, image number 6, page A450. There's going to be more detail about this intersection between the foundation and the exterior wall that you don't see here, that you need in order not to get a construction defect litigation claim against you, basically. That's what I did before this. All right, so, and I've been doing this for 13 years now, and I love it, as you can tell. And I have a degree in electrical engineering, so of course that made this very easy to interpret and teach, and I love what I do. So hopefully I'm making your learning very enjoyable. All right, so, say yes, you are. And if your coworkers want to listen in, I feel free. I won't tell the boss, right? Because I'm the boss. So, all right. So, yeah. All right. So, section view. So again, now I know. Now, one thing that's clear, if you look at any of the views anywhere, what you'll notice is we have our foundation and we have our exterior wall. They tell you, if you want details about the foundation, what do they tell you to go to? A different set of plans. And so if there's anything specific to the structural set, they're going to send you to the set involved with structural, including this bolt here. Okay, but we may be able to go to this call out and it'll give us more detail. But just know the electrical set is not going to give you a lot of information about, the plumbing set. It may show you, what needs to be done. But like on the electrical set, there'll be an outlet for a hand dryer. Well, it won't give you details about the hand dryer because that's the HVAC scope of work. Same thing here. It's not going to tell you the dimensions of the foundation or the exterior footer. It's not going to give you any of that, or the thickness of this or that, because that's all part of the either the civil set, if it's is part the concrete's part of the civil set, right? If it's concrete outside the building, and then it's part of the structural set if it's concrete related to the building, including the foundation, exterior footings. So you know that's part of that thing. So okay, so we're at the section view. So now I'm the framer, I'm the even the roofer, right? I know, oh, I'm doing a membrane roofing. I don't even have to look at the roof plan, but I do because my roof plan for the roofer's got the slopes, got the parapet, everything, all of the specifics of the slope and crickets and all that. So that's why I have to look at the roofing plan. But at least here I know I'm going to have to look at this same section view actually for the roofing plan. So when we look at the roofing plan, it's going to lead us right back here for this reason. So this section view is going to work for the framer, installation person, any of the rough carpentry. That's going to be on the structural set, but it'll be shown here as in this, right? You see that that's two, that X is a symbol for wood, 2 by something, but you see here they're not giving you the dimensions of it because all of that's part of the structural set. Or they'll put 2X. You see a 2X next to anything like this, you know a set of construction documents is supposed to give you detail. So if they don't give you the detail there, that just should be a clue to you that it's in another set. And I'll look at that set. So instead of kind of guessing, okay, I think it's a 2 by 6 because it's a 2 by 6 exterior wall. All right, so let's go to a detail view for this one. So now, what's the detail view? It's telling us in the circle, there's something that's missing here that if we go to image number 5 on page A600, is going to give us the detail that we need, again, to avoid a construction defect litigation claim. All right, so we're going to go to 5 over A600. Got to get closer. Let's see, A600. All right. That's A600, image number 5. You think I'd know by now, but I don't. All right, here we go. So image number 5 is this. So what was not contained in that previous view, in that section view, we had to go to the detail view, and each view again gives you more and more detail. So it's the continuous caulking under the window, and then the flashing, and then under the window, and then all of this. See, and all of this was not there on the previous view. So a detail view gives you more detail, okay, and it all stems from the most basic of the views, right? The floor plan. So now I'm the framer. I know how many linear feet of wall, okay, and just know these are all just, mainly all the dimensions kind of get in the way of everything else. But you're going to have the door tags telling you in each of the door tags, no matter how many doors you have, whether it's a hotel, a home, or whatever. Well, home plans really depend on how much they want to spend on them, but let's keep it to the commercial plans. No matter how many doors you have, even if they're all the same size, all of the doors will be listed on the door plan. So you never have to worry in anything. So, and the framer does install, or typically installs, the door frames. And so you'll see each of the doors, even if they're the same, like one and A, they're the same. But again, in a set, all of the doors are marked separately, where the windows are not. So it's not like window A1, window A2, even though they're the very same window. If we had 100 of these window A's, we just have window A represented in the elevations. So that's kind of how windows are shown as elevations, but the doors are all individually numbered on the door schedule. So let me go to, there's a door schedule. So we know that we have these many doors in this project. So if we had like 1,000 doors, and I'm sure you've seen it, like big, whatever, multi-story buildings, well, every door is represented here. So we'll know as the framer what type of frame, the size of the frame, and the make of the frame. So is it hollow metal? Is it wood? Usually commercial, unless it's like I did a couple of Victoria's Secrets where the fitting room door frames are wood, right? But the main entrance, main doors, they're usually always hollow metal, right? So you'd look at the door frame if you're the framer. That's another one you have to look at, see how many. And you see that they're the exact same size in a lot of cases, but is door 5, door 4, So that's one thing to keep in mind. But all of the windows, no matter how many window A, Bs, or whatever we had, they'd only show you the elevation one time. Okay, so that's kind of the difference. And so let's go to, the floor plan, all the new walls coming up from the ground, and the floor finish plan, but we'll go to the reflective ceiling plan. So again, like we were saying about the reflective ceiling plan, everything in the ceiling is going to be reflected, okay, or shown. And that is for reference for whoever is installing the ceiling finish. And here we have 2x2 ACT, and we have some drywall in certain areas. So the reflective ceiling plan, how it notes everything, or its purpose, or what it shows you in the ceiling tags, because it's going to show you everything coming down from the ceiling. So some of them even show you outlets on the reflective ceiling plan, and they shouldn't do that. That should be in the electrical set. So when you're looking at a set of plans, just reference it for what it's supposed to be. Like the reflective ceiling plan really is just for all ceiling finishes. And here again, we have some 2x4 acoustical ceiling tile on the right and 2x2 on the left. And then of course the bathrooms are drywall. And so a ceiling tag is always going to be there. And it serves kind of a multi-purpose depending on how bad or good your plans are. I've used the ceiling plan to help me determine wall paint when they don't give me interior elevations. Because I know we're probably not going to paint above the ceiling, right? And so, I was doing, what was that? Another little bar or whatever, where they give you good interior elevations for the dining room area, but for the break room and all of that, they just tell you what the finishes are. Well, how high does the paint go? And that's the other view we're going to look at, is the elevation view, because the elevation view solves all that. And a lot of times, if they don't want to spend a lot of money on plans, they won't give you elevation views for every room, which they really should. And it helps the finish trades to do their measurements really accurately. So the purpose of these ceiling tags tell you the ceiling finish and the height of the ceiling. And so again, if you have something where, it's like, well, I'm the painter and I don't know what the height is. Well, go to the ceiling plan and you can use that as starters if you don't have elevation views. Okay, so reflective ceiling plan, everything that's shown in the ceiling, and it's only for reference. So if I'm the ACT person, really I can account for, one less tile here or a modified tile here where I know I have a light coming through. So I got to modify these. And, it's extra labor, extra cost for those tiles that I have to have a dome light coming through. Okay, so that's the purpose of the reflective ceiling plan. Now, also you see here we have section views. Okay, so it's going to take us, looking at the awning. But what's most important, when we have soffits coming down, right? Like right here. Okay, so we have a section view and a ceiling plan. So what's that tell us? Well, if it's in the ceiling plan, that means a portion of this wall is coming down. Well, yeah, we're building a new wall down from the ceiling joist or the roof joist to produce this menu board right here and a flat portion of the drywall ceiling for our down lights. Okay, and so yeah, we got to look at that same section view now in terms of a ceiling plan. Now it's on the same page, so so the number 1 section view, that is right here. Okay, so now we see how we build the walls coming down from the ceiling, right? We know from our section view that we looked at for the floor plan, very simple. Same thing here, section view though, but for a ceiling plan. And so if I'm the framer, I got to think of this in terms of basically two walls, two little short walls coming down times that length, because I always need square feet. And then with the bracing, and then something's got to tell me how often it's braced, or I just know from my expertise how often I should brace it. And see, and there's not another section view of this section view to tell me that. Okay, and plus this side has a little flat area, so that's another part, so, and then this one is just one wall coming down. And then I go from the drywall, I can use this too for the drywall, because this drywall is going up, 6 inches above, which is typical. And two, if I'm the painter, right, I know I got to paint this. And so I need that section view to help me determine. So what's the length? Well, the length I'm getting from here, from the ceiling plan. Okay, so that's the reflective ceiling plan. And as you can see, it also has section views. All right, so let's go to the fourth of the views, which is an elevation view. Okay, so let me go back to actually, so I can show you the symbol for, the symbol is on the floor finish plan. So let's go to the floor finish plan. Very simple, right? All the finishes that go on the floor. And this is a Popeye, so you can imagine it's got a lot of tile. And so you'll look for the mark for that. Here it is right here. So there'll be a finish schedule, right, with everything. And this actually has a finish schedule for all the interior finishes and a finish schedule for all of the exterior finishes. So if I'm a finished person, I'm going to look to see, do I have to supply it, or do they have a supplier that I buy it from? It's all going to be on the finish schedule. Okay, and that's the main thing. Don't waste your time. If it's a chain like this, chances are they have suppliers. I mean, I've had one, I can't even think of what it was, but they had a Excel spreadsheet they sent you, and you just filled in the quantities, and they told you how much the lighting package was going to be. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So, but they handled a lot of their stuff. It was like, I don't do material acquisition, but that was kind of cool. All right, so floor finishes. Now I can measure how many square feet of different tile. But then inside the floor, I have these things, these marks that look like a section view, right? But there's no leg and there's no foot. That's an interior elevation marker. Okay, so you have them for the interior, the little head, the little hat to the side. And remember, this always applies. Picture image 7, page A120. And so what does that say? In what you should have on a good set of plans is that you have an interior elevation marker pointed in every direction of the wall. So what is this telling us? This telling us basically the finishes, if we want to know the finishes, which is the paint, the wall finish, whatever. If we look at image or picture number 7 on page A120, we'll be able to visually have an elevation view, like a lifelike view of this wall only, and we can measure it. So let's go to just all of the interior elevation views. All right, so this is 7 over that. So now I know I'm the painter, right? And remember I was saying that TV on the floor plan, it's like, they still don't even need it here, okay? Because we're not painting the TV. So some kid did that. It's like, oh, put the TV up. All right, so finishes, right? Paint. I'm going to paint this real easy. Where is that coming from? Real easy to determine how many length of the chair rail, the wainscot. I don't know how do you say that all these years. I still don't know how to pronounce that. And all of everything. So that is elevation views. And yes, you should. Question? Okay. You're laughing at my pronunciation. That's okay. How do you say that? How do you say that? Wainscot? Wainscot? What? You know. Okay, good. We got it together. We know what we mean. So, All right, so elevation view, right? So you can take measurements very, very detailed of everything. Okay, so this is our menu board, what it looks like. Seafood. Oh, I guess that is Popeye. All right, so that's the first time I've ever looked at that in detail. All right, so interior elevations, kitchen elevations, right? Because they want every one of these restaurants to look like everyone else. So show you exactly where everything goes. Interior elevations all over the place. All right, and when we got the call out from when we called out the bathroom from the floor plan, well, it sent us here. And that's why, because they have all the tags for all of the bathroom accessories. And so you can know what you're going to install. So that's the only reason for that call out. And you see this elevation marker for the seawall. The seawall. If we look at in the same page, image C, we'll see exactly this wall. So elevation markers you have, and they are for the interior and exterior. So here's all the bathroom elevations. And so it makes it real easy to know where everything's going, right? If you're going to install the handrails or whatever, you know the height of where they're to begin, and that's the whole point. So, and more interior elevations of the meal work and different stuff. Now, exterior elevations work just the same way. So now I'm the tile person, right? So exterior elevations, you're only going to have four, right? Because the building should only have four sides, or depending on, if it's adjacent to something, you may just have three sides. But the same thing, it's just for all of the finished trades, so they know where the everything goes. And so you have section views there too. So this is typically for like how the caulk or something like that, or details about that. Okay, and exterior detail, still more exterior elevation views. So it makes it easy. And the whole point of a set of construction documents is to be able to accurately measure what's in the picture, right? And so you always, 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 let's go back to the floor plan. Or actually, let's go back here and then we'll go over the bidding requirements again. So always, always make sure when you are taking your measurements that they are to scale, because you're defeating the purpose. And after a while, I know that's like that's awfully long to only be 3 feet. So always make sure your plans are to scale. You want to whatever tool you use, set it and have something that you can measure that against, right? So I had that. I'm like, okay, that's 10 feet. It should be from 0 to 10 is 10. I measured 10. So I know that the set of plans are accurate. And two, depending on your area, right, your scale is going to be bigger, because this is outside, it's a site. I'm going to have a much bigger scale than I would have for the floor plan, which, same thing applies. Make sure for every quarter now, I'm really measuring 1 foot. And two, if you have a set that you're not really sure, or, I mean, the floor plans should always have measurements for you to determine, even if you don't have a good digitized software. But one rule of thumb I've learned to use is that the distance of this door is anywhere from 3 feet 2 inches to 3 feet 6 inches. So if I get a set of plans and I can't determine the scale, I'll do that. And I'm like, okay, that's good enough to say they're to scale. And then, if I have a door that's in that direction, and that's what they typically tell you is the measure. Now, I'm not going to measure the cooler door because that may be a different dimension, but that's a good rule of thumb. And you won't measure a bathroom partition, because that may be different. But that's a good rule of thumb that, because some sets may have the scale or whatever, and then some won't, or you may just have to guess. You need the scale for a detail view that says it's not to scale. Well, just try to find a door, and if it's within 3 feet 2 to 3 feet 6, it's close enough to make your measurements. All right, so let's see. Oh, the roof plan. Can't forget that. Now, the roof plan's for the roofer, of course. And what does the roofer need to know? Basically, all the holes in the roof, because the roofer's job is to put on the roof finish and to keep moisture from going inside the building from the roof. And so, yeah, it's going to show you everything that makes a hole in the roof, from the roof fans to the venter roofs from the plumbing plan, and all the rooftop units. And yes, it's going to give us section views too, so we can see what we saw in the other section views. So let's go back to, I don't know why I don't make this bigger. So for the roofer, yeah, they're going to look at any of these section views. They have a good idea of the insulation. We have a roof membrane. We know that, what we have to do now. Here, also for the roofer now, it's a detail view that we went to from a section view. If my scope of work as the roofer is at any point within this circle, I have to follow that detail view. Okay, so if I'm the framer, rough carpentry, the roofer, insulation, but I don't see it here. So if I'm doing insulation, I don't have to follow this detail, because there's no insulation here. They're just talking about this roof has the insulation. Okay, so if I see my trade within the detail call out, I have to follow the call out. So I have to go to image number 1 because I'm the roofer. A450. Okay, image number 1 or image number any of them. It's all for the roofer. And so, did I say image number 1? Probably. 3, 1, no, 1. Where is it? Is that it? Yes. Okay. At the parapet wall. So I'm the roofer. This is my detail call out. So yeah, I always start from the bottom. Okay, that's not me. That's probably me, because that's definitely me as the roofer. So yeah, I had to follow this call out because I see my scope of work within that circle. So from the section view, let's go back. Let's go back to the roof plan. And so I'm going to assume that, so again, even for the roofer, they're going to give you section views at different areas where they think it's important. Here, just along the parapet wall here, and it's showing you where the parapet is. And then here, they'll give you a section view at the awnings, just in case the insulation or the membrane, something differs there. And then they give you another one here, which isn't different than that awning. Okay, so yeah, as the roofer, you got to follow your section views also. And so basically, this parapet wall is one length. And so whatever I saw at that section view for the parapet wall is continuous. And so for the roofer, main thing, all the holes in the roof, the slope of the roof, right? So depending on the type of material you're using for the roofing, the slope can multiply your roof finish. Like if we're doing shingles, right? They don't just butt up against each other. So the slope is very, very important. This says that the roof slopes 1/4 of an inch for every foot. That's basically a flat roof, but not really. Okay, and so all the openings in the roof, the slope of the roof is important. And so what we typically do for the roofer is anywhere that the wall meets roof, we want to account for flashing or something like that. And for all of the openings, we want to always give the roofer the total square foot of all openings, and then give them the total square foot of the whole thing. And then they like to deduct the openings, for whatever reason. And people always ask me, well, why is this here? Yeah, I don't think it's more so for the roofer is that these exhaust fans have to be a certain distance away from each other so they don't inhale the other's exhaust. And so this is not really relevant, I do not believe, at all to the roofer, these circles and the radius. The cricket is, right? What is a cricket? I've been asked a million times. And a cricket is additional framing over your flat framing to give it an angle. right? So water won't just sit there. And so if in our runoff or our water is intended to go in the area of the or in the direction that our slope arrow is going, and so if it's raining, whatever, it's going to go this way, hit here, hit the cricket, which otherwise it'd be flat and probably stay here and ruin the roof. Hit the cricket and run down the valley. We always run down valleys to the roof drain. And these are roof drains are internal too. Okay, so that would be the internal nature of these roof drains would really be in our civil set or in the roof plan. Sometimes it's not, but it's not part of this explanation. So you have a few crickets in different areas, and just to give an angle to that flat roof. So our water will run out, run this way, and then to the drains. And then roof details, going to tell us how, the roof latch is going to sit and additional, let's go back here. So it's going to tell us how, like our venter roof, that's the detail for the roofer, how the membrane, the lap sealing, the sealant, the all of that. So we don't have moisture coming in. Okay, so yeah, the roofer, everybody has a section view, and pretty much every trade has a detail view. So if you are any of the trades, just know I have to go from plan view, section view, detail view. You just have to just know that if I don't go to a detail view, I'm probably missing out on something very important. Detail views are very important. All right, so what else can we put in here? Oh, we got to go to, let's go to the bidding requirements. And basically on this sheet and on a lot of them, you'll have a sheet that pulls out different things from the specifications, basically. But it's important to read this. And what I like about this set is that it has a set of a typical construction schedule. And so what does that mean? Every time they build a Popeyes, this goes, this happens, that happens, this happens, all in order. So by the end of 80 days, we are ready to train the staff and ready to sell us some chicken. 94 days. Okay, so what I like about this is for every column, the standard estimated days is right here. So whatever I'm doing here is going to take us a day. Whatever this is going to take us 3 days. So now we're 4 days into it. But then again, that's what construction schedules are all about. It's like, well, we need to do that before we do this, right? We have to establish all of that before we can tell the contractors to get to moving, right? And so, but the best part about it is my explanation and your greater understanding of if you are in project management or whatever, all of these numbers down here, especially when we get into the trades, okay, 10 days, well, it's based on the estimate, right? So if I have a roofing estimate and my man hour totals, once I've done everything, tells me it's 15 hours or 32 hours or whatever, then me as a project manager, I have to determine, well, do I have a crew qualified to finish that within that amount of hours? Or, is that 10 number correct? And so that's when your project management comes in and you start to do construction schedules. And then you start to break down the construction schedule to the work breakdown schedules that, okay, for the roofer, or in this case, for our rough ends, for our site clearing, is it really going to take that long? And all of that, just one step to the other. But that's why we have a set of construction documents. That's why we do the estimates. That's why you should have a very good and accurate takeoff software and a good cost book. Now, I've been doing this long enough and I've only used one software, and I have returning customers as an estimator. So if your customers return, it probably means they're winning, right? And so I've used the concept of I'm going to use a standard construction cost book once I've done my takeoff in order to help me determine how many accurate bare bones man hours the construction industry says it takes me to do this stuff. And then I can add on or subtract. And so when you're doing a construction schedule, the only way to know it's going to take you 10 days is to have a very accurate set of plans, right? That you can visualize the project from the set of plans that has everything there, or be able to give allowances. But really, to build a construction schedule, you have to have a detailed estimate. There are a lot of different estimates. There are conceptual estimates, square foot estimates, but square foot estimates really have to be based on a detailed estimate. So the most important estimate is the detailed estimate, because in the detailed estimate, kind of what this is supposed to be, everything you need is there. Every bolt, every piece of parapet cap, every nail, all of the shear wall information, all of the foundation information, very detailed. So yeah, you can use that detailed set of plans and a good cost book from the construction industry. Not, and I always say, and this is a male dominated industry, and I've been doing it forever. I get that kind of stuff, but that's great. But now, we're information technology, like, to the yin yang, and it's important, I think, to be competitive in bidding to owners and stuff, is to, and I equate using a construction cost book to and I'm old, when you had to go get your radiator or your carburetor repaired or fixed or returned or exchanged. They looked in the book and they said, okay, 2.5 hours. Well, that's based on the automotive industry standard that's highly regulated, that's been around forever. Same thing with a construction cost book. That's good. It's been around forever. They know how long it takes to nail a 2x4, and you're going to be very close to being very accurate on what it should be in terms of man hours. And so you can use that information to start to build your construction schedule. But then, once you have each trade, right, broken down, okay, the dumpster, whatever, have each estimate broken down. Now you go step by step. For instance, the foundation. What comes first? Well, the form work. How long is it going to just take the form work to be finished? That kind of thing. And then you have critical points where, hey, it's got to cure and be ready to go before we can set the walls. So it's very important to understand a good construction schedule, how to build one. And I'm going to send you the set of plans just for the purpose of having this construction schedule. Because if it works for a Popeyes, right, and it's step by step, even shows you when things are inspected, well, it's going to work for your house, for everything. And so it's a good way to start to think about what comes first, second, third in a construction project, or some of your staff is just learning, or you're training project managers. Well, this is a way. And if your project has more or less of this, you just adjust it. And it's a good way to think about it. Or see if you can match it. You have the set of plans. See if somebody in the office does everything in the column, and it comes up to 13 days, or how does it come up to 13 days. So that's a good estimator exercise. So I just thought I'd add that. And so we got all well, thank you very much. Okay, so the most important thing I want you to really take away from this is really how to go from plan view to detailed section view to detail view. Okay, so plan view, the most basic of the views, from no matter what the thing is, right? You're going to run into these section views, whether it's the floor plan, the ceiling plan, even at the exterior elevations, you ran into a section view. And so for the floor plan, it's going to help you a lot. And to think about it is, this little leg is a knife. I'm going to open it up, and now I'm going to see the interior construction of the wall that I need to build. And I can't get to one. Wall sections. I don't know why I don't call them something else. Okay, so then we go from here, and if we see our trade reflected, so rough carpentry, I already know. Well, see, actually, this section view probably wasn't one for the roofer, because, well, it may have been because the roofer had more detail. Okay, maybe not. I think he did. So if you see your scope of work, well, let's see, yeah, that's probably one for the roofer. You see your scope of work in there, then you got to follow that third view, detail call out. And you know the detail view and the section view is different. There's no hat on the detail call out. So, and interior elevations, exterior elevations, that's the fourth of the views. Just know that for your door schedule, if you got a zillion doors, you'll have a zillion door schedule. And do you have any questions? All right. Well, that's going to cover the architectural set. And I hope you take some of the other classes. That would be awesome. And I'm going to send you a little survey so you can tell me what you thought. But, you know, if you do have questions, make sure you email me. And I will be more than happy to review anything, you know, that's here.
Okay. Is there any more classes on the basic plans, or is that it?
No, no, the other classes are for the structural set, the civil set, and the MEPs. And see, you, yeah. See, now, what we'll probably let you do if you want to take any of the other ones, you know, the whole set was 349. You know, yeah. So if you wanted to take any more, I'll just charge you the difference instead of the way you did
Okay.
it. Okay, so you just let
So
me know. Uh huh.
we're done
Yes, yes, sir.
with
With
that.
the A plan
Okay, I don't
basics.
know. Great. How long is that offer good for?
Oh, for you,
We have a
indefinitely
weird
for you.
schedule doing Christmas and all that.
Oh no, for you it's whenever you're ready. You just let me know.
Okay. Thank you
Okay?
very much.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for signing up. And I'm going to send you something so you can tell me what you thought about it. And again, if you have any questions after this, let me know. And when you do take the full set, you have to take some quizzes. So keep that in mind. And
Yep.
I can send you this first one if you think you're going to continue to get you started, and you can get finished with this.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'll do that. All right. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next time.
All right.
All
Thank you,
right.
Stacy.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye. All right. That was perfect. And I hope everybody out there in YouTube land learned a lot. I'm not really sure, but yes, you did. You should have because the construction queen is the best. I'll see you guys next